So business planning part 2, the session objectives for today are to go over the key elements of a business plan, also how to do an industry analysis summary using PEST, and then how to conduct a competitive analysis using SWOT. And then we'll get into some operations risk analysis. And then at the end, we'll go over simple versus robust business plans using a template, a business plan template that I can provide people. It's just, something to kind of get you going or maybe compare to what you already have. So again, those are our session objectives there. So business plan, have a little graphic there, who, what, where, how. Those are definitely some questions that you have to answer. One thing I would like to bring up as we're getting started is I would like to provide a definition of a business that I've kind of learned early and worked diligently to strive towards. Is the definition of a business is that a business should operate the same or better with or without you. And I'll get into that a little bit deeper as we go along, but I just wanted to put that out there up front so that people can start thinking about that as we go through this presentation. All right, so business plan helps you and others understand what your business aims to achieve. What do the owners want to get out of the business? Do they want more money? Do they want to employ people from the community? Do they want to get their time back? Whatever that is, that's very important that you put that down, because that's kind of why you're doing it. That's your, why to go through the effort and exercise of going into business. And then also the business plan answers the questions: who, what, when, where, why, and how, and how the business, the process of preparing a business plan. It forces you to think about all the different aspects of your business, because you're putting your business on paper first. The business plan is just a documentation of your planning effort of what you're going to need to get going. So your business plan, it should definitely be a living document and a tool that helps you manage your business. The sustainability of your business, the health of your business. And when I say living document, so there's those of us who are just getting started and getting into business. There are those of us who have maybe been in business for a little bit. What I mean by living is in the business plan, as we go through, you're going to have certain projections or predictions that you have. And it's kind of based on, the money side of the business. And as you go along, you should update those projections with actuals. That's what I mean by a living document. Things may change. Ownership may change. Your one of your goals or aims for going into the business may change. You always want to modify those things back into the original business plan to see how it affects the overall business. And so again, living document means it's not just something that you do to get a loan and then put it in the drawer. It's definitely an excellent tool to separate two different things. So there's a couple of different ways to look at the business. There's the technical work of the business. A lot of us on this call are consulting engineers or consultants. Then there's the business that does that technical work, right? So that's the side of it that's responsible for keeping the lights on, some of the human resources issues, legal issues that we were talking about. The technical work of the business is working on that design or that feasibility study or wherever the case may be. Two separate things. The business that does that technical work has the responsibility of keeping things moving. Like I said, keeping the lights on. And that's something that is really an overall extension of this business plan. Not to say that the technical aspects are covered, but here we're talking about the actual planning of the business entity. So again, it's a key document when you want to get bank financing, bonding, get potential partners or investors. All right. So these are some of the elements of the business plan that are common. They're could be some additional, some, you could drop some of these, but this, again, this is just an example or kind of something to present to you guys as an example of a business plan. So you want to start out with so at the beginning, you have your executive summary, and then a business description, industry analysis, product and service description, marketing and sales strategy, operations, that's kind of like the technical work of the business, organization and management, that's how you're going to lead and direct the business operation, and your financial management plan and projections. If it's a for-profit business, that's how you're going to make money, how you're going to pay your bills, how you're going to pay your employees, as owners or the owner, how you're going to get paid. And then appendices are something where you would have, for instance, a key resume or something like that, but we'll talk about that more as we go through this, and we're going to go through each of these step by step. All right. So executive summary. So basically this right here tells the reader what you're looking for. And then it tells you, it also tells what you will do and what needs you will serve in the marketplace. This is just a kind of a summary of the whole business plan. It gives very high level financial projections. And also it would have any financial requirements or how much money you would need in the case of a startup, where the money's coming from. Is it gonna come from the owner's 401k, from a bank loan, from private investors, family, friends? What form of an organization is it? Graham did a really good job going into this. Is it a corporation, partnership, sole proprietorship, LLC, so forth? What are any successes that you may have realized to date? Were you able to secure a really advantageous business location, some crucial equipment, critical contracts or customers in hand? These are some of the things that you'll list that you'll list in that executive summary portion. It's just again, a snapshot or a summary of the entire business plan. All right, so business description. So again, business overview, who you are and what you do. So for instance, if you are a structural engineer, then you would list that you're a structural engineer licensed in the state of Washington. What do? You cater to public clients, Department of Transportation, Port of Seattle, to design, structures, be it buildings, bridges, whatever your specialty is. And then in the business description, you want to reiterate the legal form of the organization, if you're a sole proprietorship, partnership. And then who will you sell to? What's your target market? Is it public clients in the Seattle area? Is it private clients in the Seattle area? You want to say what your focus is, what market that you're going to target. And then also in your business description, because this is one of the first things that someone is going to look at in your business plan that might be a potential investor or bank, so on and so forth. You want to say what makes you better than your competition. Is your background or experience? Have you designed several structures for that particular client, several structures throughout the Seattle area that you want to put on there? Did you spend many years working for one of the larger engineering companies and then you decided to branch off on your own? Do you have any contacts in the industry? Recommendations, people that could speak to your work or give a reference to your work, or people that you know from a good working relationship. The services you offer. I mentioned structural engineering. You could maybe do environmental engineering or surveying, transportation engineering. There's a lot of different things that you could provide along the consulting side. Architecture. Perhaps you might be into the technology aspects of the business. So you want to list your services offered. And then again, any equipment or technology or software or anything that is going to set yourself apart from your competition. Is it an innovative way that you're doing things? Is it some custom software that you've developed over the years that gives you a unique ability to deliver or perform certain calculations or modeling or analysis? You want to list that stuff there in your business description to kind of give people that good comfort level with what it is and what you do and what sets you apart. Why would they want to do business with you, or why would your target market want to seek you out for contracts? All right, industry analysis. So whenever you venture into business and you have an idea to do something, what are some of the industry indicators that you're getting into? So for instance, with the architect engineering side, or the consulting side of the construction industry, you want to look to see what factors may be opportunities, or might limit you, so on and so forth. And you want to do this ahead of time. You want to put some thought into the industry that you're getting into, whether or not it's in growth, if it's stable, is it declining, what trends are you seeing in your industry that could impact your current business or the business you're thinking about starting. So these are some of the external factors that sometimes people will run with what they do or what they're good at, run out to the business market, but they don't look to see enough about what's going on in the industry. And then stuff just kind of happens instead of being proactive and trying to seek information or indicators about what's going on to incorporate into your business plan. So one of the things about being in business is you do a lot of forecasting, or to put a different way, you're trying to predict, the future. And so it's kind of good to work with the other economists and people that are also doing the same thing, to see if there's any information out there that would affect, your business. So for instance, a common way to do that is doing what's known as a PEST analysis. So it'll answer the question, what external forces may impact your business's performance or ability to get business. And so PEST stands for political, economic, social, and technological external factors that you might want to consider and try to plan around, or assess the risk prior to getting further down the line. All right, so really what you're trying to do is the circle in the middle identify opportunities and threats. And so again, you have political forecasting, social forecasting, economic, and technological. And so you want to try to anticipate and then react. Again, it's a business plan, so you want to try to plan for certain things. So some examples of a typical PEST analysis along the political forecasting side: is there any legislation that's going to limit or prohibit your particular service, right? Is it going to be in decline, or is there going to be a big need for it? Are some of the environmental regulations, for instance, are they getting a lot less lax? And so the need to do a lot of these feasibility studies and the need for permitting might be going down. Or is it ramping up? Are the regulations getting stiffer? Are the requirements getting stiffer? And also, is it getting focused? So instead of having one permit for something, it might get split into 2 or 3. And so that's going to increase the volume and need for that permit. So that's some of the legislative issues that you could look at as an A&E firm. Taxation, is the cost, is it projected that they're going to levy some higher taxes, and that could impact your bottom line? Are you accounting for that in your expenses for your business? That could definitely impact your gross margins. And then also regulations. Is it getting more difficult to get into business? That's something that insurance companies pick up on a lot. It could be a lot more expensive to get errors and omission insurance, or the different types of insurances that you need based on the regulatory positions. Government and business relations. Are there not a lot of incentives that entice business to grow or expand in your marketplace? These are some of the things that you kind of want to look at. New competition from other states. Have they done things to encourage people to come from the outside in, thus increasing your local competition? On the sales forecasting side, demographics, lifestyles, attitudes, needs, and desires. These are some of the things that should be taken into consideration, maybe for your workforce and stuff. So economic forecasting, economic cycles, interest rates going higher or lower. Is money going to be more expensive to get? Consumer spending habits, that could impact your potential clients. Government spending, again, that could impact your revenue outlook in terms of potential clients. I'm sorry, projects, business investment, exchange rates, all these different things are just samples and ideas to consider when you're going through your PEST analysis. Technological forecasting, are there any cutting edge developments that you're aware of or might be on the horizon that you're kind of banking on? Are you doing any research and development on your side? Or are you doing competitors research and development? R&D could also stand for rip off and duplicate. All right. I mean, that's just something that you have to have is that if there's some kind of research and development that you have that you're going to be putting out a new product or a new service that might put you out in front or get you more clients, or you could be more profitable on future contracts with some of that stuff. So again, these are just some of the factors that go into the PEST analysis. And just to jump back a slide, the idea is to anticipate and react. You don't want to just run out there and do something. And when there was information available out there, there was additional research you could have done to be able to account for in your business plan. So when you're out there actively doing business, you can react, but also be proactive. All right, product and service description. Very important, to have a detailed description of the services that you're offering. Do you, for instance, offer the building information modeling as an additional service, or is that just integrated in your base deliverables? I mean, that's something that that you want to put out there and be very detailed. So when someone is considering you, they can see that you have some value-added services, or you have a unique skill set or offering that sets you apart. Are you doing 3D and 4D modeling? Are you offering schedules when you give some of your submittals? Can you estimate costs for your projects and your designs? And also, what need does your product or service address in the marketplace? Are there a lot of, for instance, private consultants that do what the public organizations typically would take on? That'll be good, when they're deciding to outsource, then you're one of the few people they can go directly to. So you might have a need there where you also offer, some of the different studies or analysis that they may keep in-house, but you're able to do it as a consultant. How will you compete in the marketplace? Is your location, close to an airport, close to a lot of your clients? Are you positioned around a lot of government offices in, say, the downtown area where it's kind of easy to get to? What special skills or capabilities do you have in the marketplace? Are you one of the few that have some of the more expensive analysis softwares or suites? And then are you in a niche market? Is it just something that is just so specialized that you're maybe one of two or one of three firms that serve that in your marketplace? So that right there really is lowers the competition quite a bit. Or are you in a fortunate situation where people would just sole source to you? All right, and then also it's good to provide different visuals as appendices to your business plan when possible. If you have an example of some of the output from your modeling software, or an example of some of the work product that you've done or previous project, or a photo of it, it's often good to put pictures and stuff in there. It really gives people a really good idea that way. And then also, if somebody is not quite as technical, it might be good to see, a table or a graphic to kind of show the end products. All right, so product and service description, one of the elements or the components of the business plan. Marketing and sales strategy. Clearly describe your market. Is it counties? Is it cities, Department of Transportation agencies, transit agencies? I mean, what is your market in terms of who are your potential customers? Where are they located at? Are they in your backyard? Are they in neighboring states? And then what's the demand for your product or service? Say if you're in infrastructure, I mean, there's a potential that there's going to be a large infrastructure bill coming out. So there's, if you do roads, bridges, highways, there'll be a big need for what you want to do there. And so there'll be a huge demand for your product or service. You want to mention that in your business plan. This is not only to convince you as the owner, but also convince potential investors or lenders that you are a good risk. All right. How will you reach your market? Word of mouth, website? Will you use your existing contacts? And something I'd like to throw out here is that relationships, hugely important. I mean, especially in business. I mean, it's built on relationship. If you already have relationships where you might have potential customers in hand, so that when you start up your business, or if you have a business and you want to grow it in a different direction, sometimes some of those contacts or the relationships you have with those contacts can lead to contracts and business and work. And then also on the other side, if you get too busy, you might reach out to people to provide them opportunities as well. You might be on the other end of it as well. So how will you price your product or service? So if you in the position where you got a niche, or you may be one of two, or maybe the only one, will you be able to demand a premium for your service? If there's so much work out there and it's just a few people that can do it, typically the market prices just magically go up. You know what I mean? Will that be the case for you? Because that, again, paints you to be a good risk. If the service is readily available, if there are a lot of people out there doing it, how would you be competitive? And so one of the things I always try to tell people is that, in the construction industry in general, and I mean, I'm just more familiar with the construction industry. One of the best ways to be competitive is to be able to predict, manage, and track your costs better than your competition, right? A&E firms, it's all about a billable rate. If you can have more output or produce the same deliverable at lower cost or lower billable hours, and yet achieve the same result, you're going to be more competitive than the average company in the market. So estimating and tracking your costs on things, on your proposals, that's any technology or consulting support or partnering that you can do to do that. You're going to be ahead of the curve, because a lot of people focus on, what contract they can get, and we'll figure it out when we get it. But if you have very streamlined processes and ways of doing things, you may definitely be able to maintain that competitive edge. All right, so marketing and sales strategy. SWOT analysis. I'm sure people have probably seen this quite a bit. So it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you have things that are internal to your business, things that are external, you really can't control, just try to manage. You have things that are more on the positive side and things that are more on the negative side. But in the end, when you're doing a SWOT analysis for whatever it is that you're trying, to do, you want to know what you want to be able to document right now what your strengths are, and this is something that you're going to present in the business plan. What your strengths are. Is it a new innovative product or service? Do you have specialist marketing expertise, people that have a lot of contacts and have worked in business development? Is the location of your business a strength? Is your quality of processes and procedures, or even, like I was mentioning just a little bit ago, even having processes and procedures so that you yourself and the people that work with you have a starting point? And it's not like everybody has the ability just to do it the way they want to do it, because that can lead to some very inconsistent and unpredictable results. And so it's oftentimes it's better just to have a core basic set of processes and procedures that people start from. And it could be in the form of a checklist or, so forth. But it's something that if people are asking questions, or when you're going through this, the work of the business, that you can say, well, where are you at in the process? Or which point are you at on the checklist, to make sure that they're on track, and so forth. And also it helps them to document where they're at as well. Because if something happens, if they have to take a vacation day or something, but you still have some work to do, it's easy to pick up and know where that person was, so that you can keep the project moving. So quality of processes and procedures could be a strength. or just anything else, any other aspect that kind of, gives you a unique capability or ability to perform. Weaknesses. It could be that you guys are very good at the technical work of the business, but you really don't have a good way to market it. You don't have an effective marketing strategy to kind of get the word out about your expertise. And then you don't have any way to differentiate your product and services from the competition so that you stand out in a crowd, so to speak. The location of your business is bad, very difficult to find where you're at, not a very high traffic area. The result is you have some poor quality goods and services, which could lead to a damaged reputation. Opportunities. It could be a developing market, doing business on the internet, doing stuff remotely. Opportunities could be by acquisition, mergers, joint ventures, or alliances to kind of, if that infrastructure bill comes and it's very large, the packages might come out big, and so you might not have the size or the capacity to be able to get some of those contracts. So you might be some opportunities out there to partner and network. Also, sometimes if you realize that your current market segment is kind of competitive, but you might be able to move into another one at a higher profit, that's also a very good opportunity, if that's the case. And then also, somebody's weaknesses might have driven them out of the market or identified them as an ineffective competitor. And so that might open up the door for either you to acquire them or acquire their customers. All right, so threats. You might have a new competitor in the market. It might be some price wars going on where there's limited work out there, so people are just getting really hungry and just dropping the price down. That could be a potential threat if that's kind of a widespread scenario in the area where you do business. And again, a competitor may have a new or innovative product or service that might be getting them a lot of attention. That could be a potential threat. They may have superior access to people and processes and products. Another threat may be some additional taxes or levies or different things might get introduced, and that could be a threat to getting profitable work. All right, so again, this is what kind of goes into, or the result of doing a SWOT analysis for your particular product or service of the business that you are either getting into or are currently in. All right, operations. Okay, this is just simply the work of the business, but first off, what stage are you at? Are you a new business? Have you been in operation? And then as far as risk identification, are you identifying some of the operational risk and have mitigation plans for those risks? Resource requirements. How much time is it going to take to become operational in the case of a new business? Are you going to have to acquire land or get additional land if you're an existing business trying to expand to meet the different market needs? What type of equipment requirements might you have? Might there be an opportunity for you to get into drones, as an extension of your business or a way to conduct business? The operations, policies and procedures. Something else that I've kind of harped on a little bit is that, do you have some design and modeling processes that allow you to be very effective and efficient in doing your design and analysis? Policy procedures, employee handbooks, human resource manuals, so on and so forth. These are all the things that roll into the operations aspect of your business. Critical suppliers, sub-consultants, and contacts. Who are the suppliers and the sub-consultants that you're going to have to deal with, and the contacts that you have in the industries for potential clients? Are there any industry association memberships that would allow you to have access to potential clients and employees or sub-consultants? One of the ones I can think of is the ASCE, the American Society of Civil Engineers. That's something that I was in for, in college and then for many years after the fact. All right. Organization and management. So this section of the business plan describes how your company is organized. it should include an organization or accountability chart. I would like to talk a little bit about so organization charts it's a very common term. It's been around for a long time, but I would like to talk a little bit more about the accountability charts, because organizational chart will typically say, who's the president, who's the, chief engineer, who's the accountant, the accounts payable person. I like to think more in terms of an accountability chart, because that says, well, this person is the president. This is what they're accountable for. These are the activities. These are the things that they do. The HR person, this is what they're accountable for. It shows how they fit within the organizational chart, whether it's a hierarchy or flat chart or whatever, but it lets people know when they read that accountability chart, not only who people are and what their position is, but what they do. The reason why I kind of prefer the accountability chart is that it allows you to have what's called an open organization, because everybody can see what everybody on that chart is responsible for as far as their core activities or their core responsibilities. And it makes it an open organization so that it's very hard to hide, because if somebody is, say, on the HR side, if their responsibility is to publish a company time off calendar or vacation calendar, and then you go to look at that and there's nothing on there, but yet, people are taking time off for different things, it's clear to see that person's responsibility, who that person is, and then how you can address that situation. So it kind of makes everything open when you not only put what people are doing and what their title is, but you put what they're responsible for. So accountability chart is just kind of a handy tool for that. Again, you want to, reiterate the legal structure of the business, and then give any biographies of the key management and personnel in terms of any education or certifications, their experience, or any past work experience that they have as a part of the management team. And then also any special licenses or patents that your company might hold. Are there a lot of professional engineers, licensed structural engineers, geologists, whatever the case may be, you want to list that stuff there. All right, financial management and projections. So basically, this kind of gives the reader of the business plan an understanding of the financial capacity and profitability of your business, either the business that you're projecting to have, in the case that you're starting up, where you're going to try to predict a year, 2-3 years in advance in terms of how much revenue, how much sales you're going to have versus what your expenses look like, the cost of being in business, what that looks like, and then what your margins are, or if you have more in sales than you have in operating expenses. And at some point when you get started out, it could be the opposite. You're going to be paying people to do stuff, but yet you haven't been paid yet. So, you want to kind of keep that in mind as well. So this just gives an idea. So if you're an existing business, then you can list your last 1 year, 2 year, 3 years of financial statements, balance sheets, so on and so forth, profit and loss statements. If you're a new business, you're going to have to give, what your projected revenue and financial statements are, going forward for a year or 2 years, whatever the case may be. And then also an estimate of startup costs. How much is it going to cost you to get into business? Are you going to have to pay for software or hardware, or to lease an office space where you have the ability to start from a home office? These are some of the things that you want to list in there so that you have some realistic idea of the cost that you're going to have to get this business going and to sustain this business as you're out there trying to increase your sales and get contracts and deliver work. And if you're applying for financing, oftentimes you might have to provide the personal financial statements for the principal owners, and then also 2 years of income tax returns. So these are some of the things that go into the financial management plan and projections part of your business plan. All right, appendices. So appendices is just something handy to where you can kind of put things that are extra information or supporting information for some of the elements of your business plan. So it could be images of company products or services, resumes for management and key personnel, any pictures of your business location or equipment, to kind of give people a better idea of what you do and how you do it. Any additional industry information, supporting the projections that you may have made in terms of future work or grants or funding out there that you can compete for, or projects that you can compete for. Any key agreements, leases, contracts that you might have or be able to document. And then a list of any existing software or equipment, that you have to kind of show that you have the capability, the capacity to do it. And then also something that I want to mention is that with the business plan, oftentimes it's something like you want to provide to a bank to get loans and so forth. It's always a good idea to have as like a cover sheet, a statement saying that whoever is viewing it won't share it with anybody else. So you have some type of a confidentiality statement that you put with your business plan, non-compete type thing, so that before people look at it, they have to sign that document saying that they will not disclose or share any of the contents of your business plan. So some type of confidentiality statement. And that's something where it'd be good to talk to someone like Graham or an attorney or something like that to make sure that you're on the right track with that. But it's always a good idea to have something like that on there before you divulge your business plan. Just looking at, say, key agreements and contracts that you're kind of protecting yourself from that person from sharing that information. All right, so we pretty much covered all the different aspects of the business plan. So what I would like to do is just kind of go over an example of a simple versus a robust business plan in terms of which components that you include or which element that you include from the ones we've talked about so far. And then I'll kind of go through just a sample template that I've gotten and developed over the years that I can share with anyone that wants to take a look at it. So this is kind of a suggestion that goes along with the template that I'm going to provide, or like I said, I'm going to go over here in just a second. Just want to make sure everybody can kind of read this. So basically, again, this is related to the business plan template, and I'm going to cover here in just a second. And I just want to go over the differences of what I mean by a simple versus a robust business plan. So simple business plan structure is simply just you want to answer at a minimum these 4 questions. What are your products and services? How will you get the work? How will you perform the work? And how are you going to keep score to know that you're winning? All right. So to answer the first question, that's typically included in the product and service description element or component of the business plan that we covered earlier. And then how will you get the work? That's in your marketing and sales strategy. Who's your market? And then what strategy do you have to try to close some deals in that market? So that kind of gets at the how will you get work. The next one is, how are you going to perform the work? How are you going to get it done and know that you're growing a good reputation for yourself by getting quality services out there? So that right there is going to be in the operations section of it. And then how can you keep score? Know if you're winning, making money. That'll be in the financial management plan and projections. The reason why I came up with this simple versus robust was not only from my own experiences, but from the experiences that I've had in working with other small businesses in several different states, is that many of them did not have a business plan. And that's a very common statistic. And the ones, and when I said, well, why don't you have one? It would just be like the time and the fear and all the effort that goes into it. And so I kind of got this minimum set of components down or elements down, and it had a pretty good success rate with getting people to actually get started. And then if you look at the differences between the simple versus the robust, we'll jump into that, next. The robust just covers all 9 elements that we talked about, from the executive summary, business description, industry analysis on down, and then you can grow it. You can add it as you need it. You can build this template out. And so this is what most people have done, but to get started or to kind of like stop the bleeding, so to speak, answering those 4 questions were pretty easy to do. A lot of them were hurting so bad that they were dying to know the answers, to some of those questions, to be able to move forward. So again, I just listed the robust there so you can kind of see that these 4 elements are the simple, and then here's all of the different elements that we have covered so far. All right. So let's kind of look at, I'll just kind of scan through this template real quick. Again, it'll come out in like a Word form for those who want it. You can edit it. And again, it just has, the link table of contents, just covering all the different aspects that we talked about. A little more detail here, executive summary, business description, business overview. These are some of the questions that you can answer. Target market, industry analysis, section, PEST, put some illustrations there, marketing and sales strategy. So again, this is just something that can be made available to everybody that is interested, but that's pretty much what I've prepared for today. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead.
Anybody, any questions for Alan about the business plan? So I see we've got Christina online. Christina, do you have an existing business plan?
I do. It's more along the lines of the simple. It's not super like the one that Alan had talked about, the simple versus the more like rigorous one. And it's just a basic. I went and took a class through the SBA with the city of Seattle, and I took a class, and we basically kind of went through check sheets and put it together there. I mean, it was pretty, it's not super hard. But I haven't touched it in years, really.
No!
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you're kind of, I mean, that sounds fortunate for that, because a lot of the people that I've, talked to and worked with suffered from that. And so once they had a lot of stress and worry associated with that, and once they updated it and had a plan to make it live just by plugging in their current financials or their current staff, and everything that they have and their growth projections and how many people, it just got a lot easier for them to manage the business instead of having the business manage them. So, I mean, I encourage you to do it, but it sounds like you're doing all right without it. But I always encourage people to, because it's sure one time to, assess the business as a whole. And then,
yeah, I agree with you, Alan, because, I'm very small. I don't have employees. However, next year I see bringing in another person. When you are really small, I think some of those significant, like the changes, I mean, it's just you, like at the helm of your own ship. So there's a lot of control there. But if you have, I think, other moving pieces, I can see where a business plan, especially making sure it's up to date and that it's a living document, is very important.
Yeah, exactly. Nope, you're right. Yep, right on.
It can also be able to hold you accountable to your goals. So if you're not revisiting it at least annually, you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're not holding yourself accountable to the goals that you've set in the previous business plan. And then how does it need to change to move forward with, maybe your focus has shifted, maybe the world has shifted, those kinds of things.
I would just want to say something. Thank you, Alan. I think you have a really good business plan model that you're teaching us. I've done this before in the Port of Portland, a mentor protege program, and they too have really good, but it just takes time to sink in. After I really took this business plan seriously, I honestly felt like it really helped me achieve my goal, and that because of it, I grew. I have now one full-time employee. For many years, I was the only one. I think you're right. We need to revisit it. Probably it's time for me to revisit my business plan that I did last year. but I just really encourage everybody to do it. It's different when you have a written goal and say, this is what my revenue is going to be, and this is how I'm going to get to it. It's a lot different than just keeping it in your mind and say, I'm going to do that. And you change it all the time. But if you write it, you won't.
Oh yeah, yeah, and you just totally hit the nail on the head. I mean, the key part about it, and other people mentioned as well, you have to put your goals down. You know what it is you want. You have to track it, because that kind of gives you some, gives you hope, and it kind of gives you, a little bit of certainty. And then the accountability piece is real huge. But I know the one thing that I did, I just want to bring it up real quickly, is when you do the accountability or the organizational chart, that's when a lot of single owner businesses, like I started out too, I saw, wait a minute, I can grow right now. How is that? Because if my billing rate, and I'm not saying this is what it is, but say if my billing rate is $150, yet I'm processing, things that I could add somebody to the team where they could be compensated fully for $50. I just made $100.
Right, right.
That person do that task. And so I didn't see that until I did, well, I'm old. So back when I did, it was called an organizational chart, and I learned more about the accountability chart. The other thing it did is, even though I was a single owner, I did the organizational chart showing all the things that occurred in the business or needed to occur. And it basically showed me wearing like 6 or 7 hats. And when I started looking at those hats, again, I saw the one where that's a $50 hat. That's a $25 hat. And then I started seeing the potential to grow and get other people. And maybe I couldn't hire that person, but I would see if they could be an independent contractor, if that met the IRS's requirements. I would sub it out, find another subcontractor that could do it at a different rate. So anyway, so that was just something. But had I not had that business plan and went back and revisited it and looked at it over and over again, I would have never saw, that I was basically not taking advantage of opportunities. So I appreciate that comment. You just reminded me of a lot of pain, but again, it's good lessons. Yeah.
Right. And I think I'm still behind. I don't have a accountability chart. I'm just now, after so many years in business, starting to appreciate how beneficial it would be to hire someone. My billing rate is a lot higher than $50.
Yeah.
But, or $50, $25, how much helpful it would be, but it continues to be a challenge to get reliable people at a rate that's affordable to small business, at a rate affordable to small business. For example, I pay my bookkeeper $180. That is too high.
I need to be
a business. But exactly, that's how much I make. Yep. So that's not beneficial. But then it takes her less time, and because I really need to do other things to grow my business, it takes her less time, because it would take me 8 hours. It would take her 2 hours.
Yeah.
Or so 4 hours. But still, it's expensive, $185, and there are times that I have to do it myself. Say that again?
No, I was going to say, sorry to interrupt. May I say something, please?
Oh, please. Okay.
Regarding this business plan, I think Christina is right on. What she said is reality. When you're a one-person firm in a very fast-moving world, competition, marketing, managing your firm, paying bills, it's almost impossible to go revisit your business plan. So you actually have your business plan in your mind, and you're revising it based on your reality of competition. Are you making money? Are you losing money? Can you keep your doors open? So this is the reality. I think it's a wonderful business plan you shared. For me, it's not something I can do unless I have an employee that can help me with that. But I'm talking about my reality of truly trying to survive to keep my doors open. I'm making the adjustment based on what I see. And then lastly, when I started my firm, I never had the insight to put together what you showed, which I thought was very wonderful. I had my fantasy of what architecture is. It wasn't until I jumped in almost like swim or sink that I saw what the competition was doing. I wasn't getting business. Now and I have to learn fast so I don't fail. So, you know, you're learning almost on a daily basis is a reality.
Yep. Yeah, and what I found is that business planning or the business plan is really a result of do you or are you planning or are you just reacting, right? And a lot of the stress and I guess the how you can get sidetracked and derailed could be avoided if you had a plan to start with, right? And so I guess I would hope that everybody would be out there planning, and the business plan is just documentation of that plan. So you can go back and check later to see, you know, if you're tracking where you wanted to be or if you have to revise it. And it kind of takes you, you're always going to be in that reactive role. You're always going to be out there doing work. You know what I mean? Especially if you're kind of a sole proprietor type situation. But it's always good to have goals or projections and have kind of an exit strategy in mind. You know what I mean? Because there might, certain things may happen to where if you're not tracking it, you've gone too far now and you've kind of put yourself in a situation of a point of no return. So I guess one of the main reasons why for the, you know, people that like struggle with time or struggle with it is that it's always good to be able to at least do enough planning so you kind of know what your exit strategy is.
Right, just one last comment. Christina had mentioned that she's hoping to hire next year.
Mm-hmm.
And the point is, most of us are one-person business, not because we planned it that way. It's just the reality. Of course, we'd love to have 3, 5 support staff, but then you got to write them checks twice a month. And you're bringing in enough business to be able to write those checks. So yeah, which is why I'm taking this class to help me about business, you know, revenue, things like that, so I can hire and grow and have a life. Because right now I don't have a life. You know, working 7 days a week. It's a fact. So I didn't plan it to be a one-person business, but this is just my reality for now. Yeah. I'm looking forward to hire, but I gotta make certain I don't hire and then lay off, you know.
I got you. Yeah, and so I think you're in the point where you're trying to plan not to be a one-person business.
Yes.
That's a hell of a plan, and I think you can get it done.
Thank you, 100%. That's why I'm taking this class.
No problem.
You know, I'd like to make a comment. I think when businesses get started out, I think why use SCORE for some advice, and then also a little bit later, I went to PTAC, Daryl. Well, actually, it was someone else before Daryl, but and I check in with him every once in a while too. So I think if people, maybe we need to, I think most of the businesses that probably signed up here have been in business for a while. It'd be good if there were more startup businesses, and maybe that's something that Department of Revenue, I think they do kind of direct people, they ought to check with people, but maybe we need to tell the Department of Revenue or state, whoever, I mean, handles when people start a business, here's some places they go to in the first place, like Small Business Transportation Resource Center, PTAC, etc. So they kind of do that, or remind you to do that kind of stuff up front, because that will help you. PTAC gives you a booklet, a manual that covers all those different things. And the challenge is a one-person operation. You got to keep up on that stuff. I don't keep up on that. Like a business plan, I had one, but I haven't kept up on it. And sometimes I've had to adjust my goals for my revenue. Like this year, COVID affected that. But then now I've had to adjust I had to lower my expectations this year, but then now I have to look high expectations next year. So, but anyway.
Yeah. All right, man. You tell it on yourself, George. No, but just real quick, and if nobody has any more questions, but you know, I do business in a lot of different states, and George just said something that kind of reminded me. I don't know if any of you know, but in the state of Florida, if you want to get a contractor's license there, you actually, as a part of the test, you have to take training, and certify that you've done what's called financial responsibility for your business. And as a part of that, that means that you understand bookkeeping, you understand accounting as it goes to your business, you understand balance sheets, profit and loss statements. So the state of Florida might be on to something. That's one of the few, there's other states, Idaho has something similar, but that's a good point, George, is that if some of these regulatory agencies force people to have business financial responsibility training, then it does take in some of the stuff, PTAC, SBA, they can funnel into that to be a registered provider or trainer for
Well,
that.
you know, King County and the state to some degree, well, King County on their small business, their small supplier certification, they require like 15 hours of course of work before you get certified. I don't think the state, I don't remember that because that's every 3 years or something. They don't necessarily require that for OMWBE, but I think maybe some kind of requirement like that. The challenge is that a lot of small businesses, people out there, and I would say maybe more on the construction side, they think those are just more that many more burdens. So some people don't want to get certified, especially if they want to be a minority or woman-owned business and get certification to work on public projects. They don't want to be bothered because they think it's too much paperwork, too much hassle to get some work on the public or government side. So they'd rather try to just stay on the private side and still be barely getting the loan.
Okay. No, I understand. It's just that I think if people knew the way that it increases your chances of success by having the financial education and financial literacy about your business, if some of the small certified firms really understood that they're increasing their likelihood of success by going through that, I think it might change people's mind. But no, that's a good point.
Yes.
I guess I don't know if there are any more questions or anything like that.
Oh, I have one more comment.
Oh
I
yeah.
have another comment or suggestion. If PTAC or SBTRC, maybe you would have something like, you know, there's an organization called Paycheck. They probably charge people too much for the average business, small business. So maybe if you guys offer something, some paycheck type thing. So in other words, people have a back office to funnel through. I think Table 100 has discussed that, but it's not in reality yet. I think that would help a lot. We don't have to be looking for somebody paying $180 an hour for an accountant or something. So when you do bring on employees, because then you have some place to go with a lot. They don't understand the laws, all that kind of stuff, and you just make sure you give them the money ahead of time, and they pay your employees. They take care of all the paperwork, all that stuff. You don't have to be going through a bunch of hassles and trying to remember this or that. It's just one more responsibility. They can take that responsibility off of you rather than work it out. But I think that would be a good place if there are one or a couple of places where people can go and have somebody take care of payroll, help them with payroll, so that's not even a responsibility, so to speak, especially if they're small business.
Oh, that's good. Good idea.
Yeah, George, we'll take into consideration, but I think like right now we help small business who wants to talk to a bookkeeper and CPA, but
right,
like we did that before, right, Ato, when we set up like the financial system with you.
Yes.
We send like a bookkeeper
Yes.
and then train you, because like now Ato has a very robust financial system, right, Ato?
Yes.
So we are
true.
doing it like that, but of course we have limited resources, but we're trying to just right now just have like a couple hours set aside. But I'll definitely talk to MBDA and City of Tacoma DBE support service, for a DBE, particularly just for DBE now, but with SBTRC we work with everybody.
Right. No, I know. Yeah.
Okay, Lily, if you have a few minutes, I'd like to continue on what I started earlier.
Yeah.
With my discussion with Alan.
Yeah.
I'd like to build, that Alan, I was telling you the organization responsibility chart.
Yep.
So now that I hired an engineer who is helping me, I want to expand and I can do better things with my time. Some of the things I do can be done by office assistant with maybe 2 years college or this kind of things, but it's been very difficult to find someone, you know, at an affordable rate. So what advice do you have?
Yeah, so a couple of different things. Sometimes if you have time to do some training, or if you have
Yes.
some instructions or manuals, you can get somebody under like an internship opportunity from
Mhm.
like a 2-year, 4-year school. You could advertise for an internship, train that person, or you could go to a community college or university and get on their job board or register with them for a recent college graduate. The reason I say if you have time to train, because oftentimes those are some of your good opportunities, is to get people right as they're ending school or just, you know, recently graduated, if you have time to train them. More experienced hires, a little more difficult. You know, there's some web-based platforms you can use out there called Indeed.com, Monster.com, things of that nature. There's headhunters that you can use. And then also you could do word of mouth. If you know other businesses that may know of somebody looking for a job, or what I like to do with my business is I try to bring people in with accountability with like a job description and go over their roles and responsibilities and do like performance reviews. And sometimes people don't work out for the seat that you have available in your company. So sometimes if I have somebody like that, but you know, they're good people, I just don't have a need for their skill set, then I can mention to you, hey, you know, I have this person, I'll send you their resume if you could use them. I don't like just to let people, you know, just to fire people. I like to try to place people with better opportunities. So if you network with other businesses, there's that opportunity. And going to, I know the COVID has it now, but going to some of these meetings and seminars and stuff, you can sometimes find people there that are open to new employment and opportunities that way. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you so much. So take this, let me know if you guys know office assistant who would be doing bookkeeping, other things, you know, general office work. Please let me know.
All right, no problem.
Thank you.
Harigu, I would love to talk with you offline because I work a lot with some small businesses in Oregon, and we could share the information. But another thing that you could take a look at is the Society of Women of Engineer. If you're particularly gonna focus on the engineer, you know, recruiting, that's another good organization for the engineering group, that they have the like a job board information and WTS, Women Transportation Seminar. I'll be happy to introduce you with the players there too.
I am a member of WTS, but let's talk whenever you're available. I am. Just call me anytime, Lily. Thank you so much.
And if you want the best, if you want to hire the best civil engineers and architects, be it building architect or landscape architect, that's why I put up here Ohio State. Because all you have to do is go to Ohio State, you can get them all.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay.
Just kidding.
Thank you, Alan. I know. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Take care. Is that it? Are we done, Lily?
Any other questions for Alan? I think that's it. Alan, thank you so much for your presentation.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so this afternoon we are continuing. We've got 2 technical assistance providers, and the person that's going to go first is Wendy Novak from ABC. Welcome, Wendy.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for the invitation to attend today and speak with your group. My name is Wendy Novak, and I am the President CEO of Associated Builders and Contractors of Western Washington. We are a national construction trade organization. Our headquarters is in DC, but I'm responsible for the Western Washington chapter, which covers Vancouver down to about Chehalis. We have about 350 members, all in the construction industry. Our contractors mostly focus on commercial, light industrial, and residential. And more small to medium size contractors, not the really, really large contractors. And we provide just a variety of resources for all of our members in just helping them run a successful business, keeping them compliant when it comes to safety. So this year, obviously with COVID, we put together a COVID safety plan for all of our members. We have job site specific plans for all of our members, and training. So a lot of safety training to make sure that our members can stay in compliance, keep their employees safe. And we also have just resources. So we have a safety manager on the team. So if you have questions about your OSHA log, or you have questions about PPE or where to get PPE or anything related to safety, we have a quite robust safety department at ABC. And then we also offer management education. So we partner with SBTRC in a 12-week, 9 to 11 week. It depends if it's in person or virtually. And the goal of the program is to provide instruction in the skills that it takes to run a successful construction firm. And Alan is actually one of our speakers. It's a comprehensive collection of session topics designed to help the contractors who attend embrace, all of the different business challenges that they're going to face running their business. And the instructors are usually from industry, so that helps. They've been contractors, they've ran small businesses before, so they've got a lot of tips and tricks to help those that do attend the school kind of get through some of those challenges. Business resources, we have a health insurance program, a retro program where contractors can get a refund back on the premiums that they pay to L&I. So that's a big plus. And then networking opportunities with our GCs and our professional service firms. So we have engineers and architects and attorneys and HR firms and just the whole depth of professional service firms that help contractors run their business on a daily, run it daily. And they're very good at connecting with all contractors and answering questions and being a consultant, which is nice when you have those resources within your membership. They're very willing to help and answer questions. And this year, because of COVID, we've obviously moved to a virtual environment like this as well. Tonight we have a trivia night, so it's more or less just something fun. We've got a great company coming in and they're just gonna ask some trivia questions, get our members together and let them relax a little bit. But next year we just finalized our goals for the year. We have a lot of new benefits that we're bringing to the membership and all focused on making sure that our contractors can grow their business and stay successful and keep their employees safe.
I just want to add just a little bit, ABC is a great partner for SBTRC. And I know that this is a professional service workshop. They do have professional service or engineering members. I mean, at the end of the day, this is like helping you with your marketing. And we are going to partner again with ABC for the next ABC construction. I know it's called construction. It's pretty much everything for small business, but a little bit focused on the construction. And we sponsor the membership. So a firm who attend the class, like at least 75%, right, Wendy? SBTRC pays for the membership to be a member of ABC class, because the class itself is a paid class. It's kind of like if you go to AGC Foundation, you have to pay some of the classes. So they charge to the member or non-members. So the way it works with us, we team up with them and we sponsor the firms to be their members. And I have some members who are not construction firms, but they got connected with their network and they got like some small works. And at the end of the day, you want to diversify your business, right? You're not just focusing on AGC, but any membership association or trade association, it will help you with the marketing.
Wendy, how much does, what are your membership costs?
It's a sliding scale, so it's based on the size of your company. So we have a startup company is, I think it's $800 a year, and it goes up from there. We've got $50 million companies, but again, most of our contractors are small to medium size, and the application is on the website, and I think Jessica put our website in the chat, so you can click on that, and based on the size of your company, you could see where what the membership would be.
Wendy, do you have any job boards on position posting or people that may want to team up and go after certain contracting opportunities?
We don't have a job board yet. That is something that is often asked about. However, I've been with ABC 22 years. I know our members quite well. So if somebody just calls and says they're looking to connect with, you know, someone who does this, I know within the membership who does that, and I can send you a list of contractors that would be willing to speak with you, help. Mentoring is another big thing that our contractors do. They remember when they were startups or they had a challenge, and it's something that I hear quite often from our members is they can call each other and just say, hey, you know, I've got this problem, and they talk through it over the phone. So the membership is very family oriented. It's just, it's very casual and comfortable, and everyone's just trying to work together to make sure everyone succeeds, and you know, the construction industry prospers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Well, thank you again for the invitation. Happy holidays, everybody, and good luck in your class.
All right, thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you for joining us today. So that's Wendy Novak from ABC. Okay, and then next up for our last presenter for today is Walter Acuna from Craft 3, and he's going to talk to us about money. Welcome, Walter.
Hi. Yes, thank you very much for inviting me today. Yes, so Craft 3, we are a nonprofit organization, a CDFI, a community development financial institution. We work in Washington and Oregon. Here in Washington, we have offices in Seattle, Port Angeles, Walla Walla, Spokane. And in Oregon, we have in Bend, Oregon, Portland, Klamath Falls, Astoria as well. We pretty much provide all the spectrum of lending, you know, commercial real estate. We do working capital, inventory, equipment, pretty much everything. We are cash flow lenders, so it's very important for us to look into the cash flow. We don't have minimum collateral requirements. We don't have minimum credit scores requirements. And we don't have minimum business history requirements, which means that we can do startups as well. However, you know, as we look for cash flow and we don't have these minimum requirements, we ask a lot of questions about, you know, the projects, projections, how they're going to use the money. We ask for monthly cash flow projections. Projections are very important to us, and they need to make sense. We don't compete with banks. We actually complement them. So if a business is struggling to get financing through a regular financial institution, that's when Craft 3 comes into place. Our interest rates are higher than the banks because, as I said, we don't compete with them. We go for 8 up to 12%. But I think we're a really good option because we are pretty much between the hard money lenders and the banks. We're like in between. What else? We don't have line of credits, so all our loans are pretty much term loans. You know, we do some exceptions if, you know, they need that the business needs a big line of credit, $1 million or 800,000 usually. We can do some kind of non-revolver line of credit, or we do invoice financing. or purchase order financing as well. But again, it's in a case-by-case basis. In regards of construction companies, we pretty much look at it as a regular company. I know some banks, they are considered kind of high risk. Again, for us, it's more into the cash flow. What else? We pretty much do everything. It's just, it's very important for us that the cash flow again, and to have, their financials in order, tax returns and all that. I don't know if
I've got a question for you. For construction, because now we are in COVID, right? And construction has been deemed to be essential services. And what we are seeing is construction has been going when retailers have been closed down, like like the hair salons, the nail salons, the massage parlors, other places that are closing down, or people aren't really shopping as much because they're limited income, like retail shopping. You've got a specialty store or whatever. Is that still the outlook right now for construction?
Yeah, construction companies are pretty active. Those are one of the sectors that were in shutdown. Like in the beginning they were, but essential services, and then little by little start back again. But yeah, we are actively lending to construction companies. One of the things that we don't do, for example, is if a construction company is remodeling houses to resell them again, because that's considered an investment property. So we do commercial real estate, but needs to be owner occupied. If a construction company, wants to purchase their building to put their equipment on, that is fine. Or if they need working capital, because they are contracting with, federal government or the cities, and they take like 60 days or 90 days to pay, and, the construction company needs to pay their employees, we can provide some kind of working capital through a term loan, but to purchase commercial real estate and to resell it, we don't do those. That's the only exception.
Okay. Any other questions for Walter? Or Walter, do you need to tell us anything else about Craft 3? Why we should be sending our clients?
Yeah, again, if you are having a hard time finding financing through a regular bank, I think we're a really good option. And if I have a client coming straight to me and then I look at it like they have a really high chance to get financing through a bank, I usually, send them back to that bank, because we don't compete with banks. We know banks have better rates than us, but we are an additional resource, for entrepreneurs that they don't have access to regular financing. So, yeah.
Okay, and then is there a limit on the loan sizes that they can go after?
We can do as little as $25,000 up to $3 million.
Okay.
So does it have to be like declined by the regular banks and then we could go to you guys, or can we just go straight to you guys?
Yeah, you can straight to me, but if I see that there is a good chance a bank can provide a loan, I'll highly recommend to do that, because their interest rate is lower. So we don't want the entrepreneur to get hurt. If you can qualify for a bank loan, it's actually good, but I can tell you right away, yeah, I think this is something a bank can do, or I can say, no, definitely, I don't think nobody's going to get you approved with, because of this, or lack of collateral, for example, or things like that. But yeah.
Is there any CARES Act grant or something that you want to share with our firms, like something, within your organization that, our small business?
Well, we're a nonprofit. So with all this pandemic, we were trying to be very careful. So we still open and, taking care of ourselves. So we are not participating in any, PPP loans, those type of things, but we're still lending. But, any government programs, we made a decision to don't participate in them for now.
Okay.
So if we were to send a client to you, or if we were to send, I guess, somebody that performs a certain scope of work, or there are a certain type of retailer, what is the appetite for Craft 3? Like, are you really looking for retailers, or because you've got inventory, or are you looking for professional services? Are you looking for construction? I mean, what, if you take a look at your clientele right now, where is your biggest spread that you're loaning money
We
to?
do pretty much everything. As long as, we create jobs, we protect jobs, or the business is struggling, or they are minority owned, veteran owned, located in a high unemployment census tract. So that's where the mission comes into play. So we don't look at a specific fields. We look at, again, if they cannot find financing anywhere else, is something that, we want to help. Or again, a minority owned, immigrant owned business. We look for those more than, like, for example, restaurants. Banks don't like to do restaurants. We do restaurants all the time because, restaurants hire minorities, to give you an example. But yeah, we can do pretty much everything.
Do you guys require business plan?
For startups,
Talking about business plan, okay.
For startups. If you are an
Okay.
established business, we don't.
And what's a term for you, startup, less than a year?
Oh, a startup, yeah, they are going to open brand new startups. We can do any. So even if they are not open, they are planning to open, yeah, we can. But the business plan is very important there. And based on how much is the loan amount, we might look into some kind of collateral. You want to open, let's say, a restaurant, and you're looking for 300,000. So we need some kind of collateral. Or maybe we can do SBA loans as well, but the maximum loan amount for SBA is 250,000. Because we're not a bank, there is a program called the Community Advantage, so we can use that one. But yeah, we can do a lot of things. We also participate with banks. I mean, if a bank is not comfortable lending the whole amount to a business, sometimes we participate with a bank. We go in second position, and we are combination. We do this often for big loans, commercial real estate, or some expensive equipment. So there is different things that we can do. It's a matter of talk and see, get creative, to put together some kind of solution for the financial need.
So I guess my question is more so like, for the business plan, what do you consider a startup? Is it less than a year for the business plan to be required that they would have to turn it in?
Yeah, less than a year. Maximum a year, yeah, less than a year.
That just gives us something to work with when we're talking to our firms. We can say, if you're less than a year, we're going to have to work on a business plan if you plan on approaching Craft 3 for something.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to be able to be prepared.
Unless the business is very successful, let's say that in 6 months they are doing great. We can use their trends and put together some kind of projections and a brief business plan. So that depends. But if it's a 3 months old business, they are losing money or they don't have much income, we will need some kind of we need a strong business plan and projections, and the projection needs to make sense. So it's pretty much that, where they are at and how their sales or their income is doing.
Okay. Anything else that you need to tell us about Craft 3?
We're here to help.
Any online application process, or is it just all paper application?
Yeah, we have an online application, but I don't know, someone told me that it's not very friendly. I personally like to talk to my clients and, get the information through a secure Dropbox type of things. But depends, if the person is more comfortable just like trying to put everything together through online. Yeah, we also have some kind of online service available. But commercial lending and the type of lending we do is conversation, trying to understand what they do. So at some point still I will need to talk to the client. So.
Okay. Any questions for Walter from Craft 3 from our participants today?
Walter, is Antoinette still working for you?
Yes, she's still working for us.
Say hi from us and Marnie. We used to be a office co-workers.
Oh, okay, I will.
I used to work with Community Capital Development, Marnie, as well.
Great.
So, yeah, Craft 3 is a great organization. So yeah, guys, if you are thinking about, if you have some challenge with the regular bank, which is now, it's the time to start, planning. It's going to be 2021. Goodbye to 2020. So let's work with Craft 3. If you need your line of credit, remember, line of credit or loan for your business, you need to apply when you don't need it. Trust me, I've been there. I told that to my husband, who's a business owner who refused to apply for line of credit for 10 years. We apply when we didn't need it. Now, during this time, we use it a lot. So if you don't need it, Casey, Christina, George, Otto, Alan, please, apply. I mean, even with Craft 3 is great. Like he mentioned about like, go with the bank if you could go with the bank, but you know how it goes with the bank sometimes when you're like only have 1 or 2 years experience on your hand. I mean, they're not gonna give you a lot. So I think, isn't that true? Like Walter, if you work with you guys and have some sort of a past performance, and then they could go back to the traditional or banking, market, so they could be like more bankable, right? I mean,
yeah,
because
yeah.
they're showing.
So that's our goal, for the businesses that we help to become bankable.
Sometimes having 700, credit is not enough. Trust me. I have a client whose credit score is 785. Get declined by a bank. 785. I mean, that's like unbelievable. I don't know why the bank, but he was like in the business less than a year. So.
All right, if there's no more questions for Walter, I'd like to say thank you for joining us this afternoon and bringing us some money to talk about, Walter. And I guess we'll be sending clients to you. But thank you so much for talking to us about Craft 3 and what you're looking for. And we'll certainly talk to our clients about accessing your services if they are not able to get a traditional loan from one of the other banks.
Sure. Thank you very much.
For that.